That's right, guys. Let's get up close and personal. Part 2. What am I going to do in this up and close and personal video? I'm going to show you at least 10 of my locks up close and personal. The combined locks, the bumpy, the smooth, the ones with balls on the ends, the ones without balls on the end, the ones that just look crazy altogether, and the ones that I love. Stay tuned for a closer look. First up is a combined lock. I have had 2 locks combined, but this is the one that I can find. And why was this combined? Because I had one lock that was literally on the verge of breaking off. So what we did was we combined the lock, guys, and here it is. Give me a Y. Oh, you got that Y, you got that Y. Y'all look at this. This lock, guys, is pretty much not worth saving, so I'm gonna actually snip this off right here. But let's get up close and personal, as I promised. As you can see, it was so thin that we originally combined it. And now it's just time to let it go, guys. There's no point. It serves no purpose. So, hold on. All right, so snip, snip. So why was this combined, guys? What's the whole point of combining and then cutting this off? Well, had we not actually combined the lock, guess what would have happened? It probably would have broken off at the root, and I would have had an empty space there. So by combining that lock together, it gave me a strong root. I have no idea if you all can see, but a strong base, which allowed that area to not have a little empty hole there or a little empty space, and it would have been growing in, you know, the little bit of piece of little fuzz hair, okay? But as you can see, it is so thin, it is so pointless. We're gonna let it go. I'm gonna just go right above it to make sure. Rest in peace. And now it's healthy and whole. So up next, let's find one of those thick, juicy locks and then compare it to one of my skinny, itty bitty locks. All right, now, y'all, I have to keep going and finding them in the mirror. And I'm holding it because I don't want to lose it. So, a thick lock versus a skinny lock. And by thick, I mean thick in reference to the locks on my head. Now, why are they different sizes? Well, one, literally your loctician might choose to make all your locks the exact same size, or what my loctician did, she made some locks larger than others to get a mixture of fullness and keep the lock count down some, combined with also giving you smaller locks. So around my frame, I have smaller locks. You may see some that are smaller here, but towards the back and the middle, they're thicker. Let me show you a thicker lock. As you can see, this lock right here, guys, it is quite fat and juicy compared to my other locks. And if you say that's not a big lock, well, compare it to this. Do you see the difference? Now, because this frames my face, you know, it gives me the illusion, I guess, of having a lot more smaller locks. So one way to fake it till you make it is to have your locks still be full. But if all of my locks were this size, guys, instead of 350 locks, I'd probably have 500, okay? And that might make me cry because the amount of time it would take to retighten those. And for some people, they want that. I don't. If you go back and watch my video on why I chose Microlocs over Sisterlocs, that was one of my reasons. I don't want to be in the chair all day with 500 something plus locks, okay? So again, one more time, up close and personal. Excuse me. This is my little juicy lock, and it's so solid and happy. And then in my little thinner lock, little comparison versus here. All right, up next, we're gonna find a flat lock. You heard me, it's flat. Talked about that in my last video on Microlocs versus Sisterlocs, the interview. And those little bubbles or ball, I don't know the exact name, guys. I'm not a loctician. I'm just gonna show it to you. Hold on. All right, now, next we're gonna go into that little bubble or bump or knot. I mean, you know, I don't know if it's don't know what it is, okay? And we're gonna also show you the one that is flat. It's not like a little cylinder lock, okay? And guys, I'm not showing you these to scare you. I'm showing you this to be real. As much as I love my locks, I don't, especially for my people that are researching or you just recently got locks, I want you to be aware of what you might see so you don't freak out and take them out. But know that over time, like, they do get better with time and they get more uniform. But it's a process, okay? Now, here is the flat one. I don't know if it's, you see that, guys? It even looks like it's going to a point because it is actually sort of flat on the ends. Not a perfectly flat lock, but guys, it's flat enough. You see that? Look at that. You see that? You see that? Smushed. Now, if you watched my last video on Microlocs versus Sisterlocs, where I interviewed my cousin and I gave her responses, she mentioned that she had all these types of locks that I mentioned with her Sisterlocs. And she's had hers for 11 years, guys, going on 12. And most of those problems have corrected themselves. So again, love your imperfections. Now, the next lock, guys, is the bump, bump, bump. Ooh, the bump, bump, bump. Look at this. You see it. And I showed one in my last video as well, guys. Let's get close. You see it. Hold on, I made you lose it. That bump right, that where the hair sticks out. Now, I think this is a problem. Let me go to the sides. You can see it. It's literally just sitting out. Hair that is outside of the lock. Now, I had way more of these, guys, and they have actually gotten less. So I can personally say, by going by my own head, that a lot of the imperfections literally correct themselves with time. But if they can't, you can get your loctician to fix them. Like, we've actually found something. Sometimes they hide themselves, and my loctician will see it, and she will repair it manually. Other times, just let time take its place, and it will get better. Up next, I'm going to show you a smooth lock versus bumpy, bumpy, bumpy. Hold on. Now let's get on this smooth and bumpy road. And when I say smooth, I mean smooth-ish. I don't have any locks that are completely like 100% smooth because I have frizz and all that comes with fine hair, okay? But it's my frizz. Now, here's a smooth one. And as you can see, it literally has almost no imperfections. It is pretty even. There aren't really any bumps that stand out. No hair is sticking out. And it pretty much goes just nice and happy to the very end. I'm trying to hold on to these and also show you guys with my hands. See if you can see. Pretty smooth. Now, these are some examples of some bumpy locks. Okay, so you can, I don't know how good you can see. Let me get my face out of there, guys. And as you can see, and it's harder to show you through the camera, but here we go. If you can look, there's a bump. It even feels bumpy. There's a bump here. You see that? Can you all see? Let's get really close. And it looks worse in real life, honestly, if I'm being honest. But you see all that. And there's a bump here. There's a bump here. There's a bump here. Here's another one that I found. And if you can see, you can see that. See that bump, 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 bump. Okay? Now, again, not trying to scare you, just trying to show you some of the changes your locks will go through. So even when they look good overall, the little imperfections embedded into the lock. And as my cousin was saying, with each year, they get better. They tighten up. They tighten up, yeah. Now, the last thing I'm going to show you all are some of my ends that did sort of form that ball on the end, and some that are still loose and some that are straight. My ends are not the exact same. And I don't know what the final product will be on all of my locks. Only time will tell. And then I'm going to show you an example of what do I consider one of my favorite locks. And we're going to end there. All right. All right, we're back. Look at me. I look crazy. I feel like a lady with a bunch of groceries trying to manage, hold all her bags, and she has too many, and she's trying to not lose them. But here we go. So let's try. I have to prop my knee up here so I can kind of show you. So this is a lock, guys, where the end is sort of open. I don't know if you can see it really good. Let me go over. Oh, excuse me, hitting the camera. If you can see that little fuzz of it in. the little fuzzy end. So I have several locks where it's not a knot, it's not a curl, but it's sort of open still. See if you can see that. See that? See the little soft little frizzies? Now, that's one end. Then I found one of the locks I absolutely despise, okay? It's another flat one. I don't have that many flat locks left, but the 2 or 3 that I have, I don't like them. I tolerate them. I'm sorry, you didn't hear that. Now, this is one, not only it's thick on the end, I know there's somebody else like me that has a lock with a thick end. And not only is this one thick, it's thick and flat. So it's a double doozer. Look at that. It's like a paddle in the boat. Just getting the water going. Toss that one to the side. Now, another lock I wanted to show you all was one where the end is sort of straight. It is locked to the end, but it's kind of thin. And I have several that are like that. They're kind of thin and wispy, but they're locked. It's not loose, but it's thin and wispy. And then the last one is an end with the little knot. I don't particularly like these either, if I'm just being honest. And I had a lot more earlier on in my journey, but many are not like that. Now, some of my knots, guys, honestly, they were weak. And if I would pull at it, they would just kind of naturally fall off. And if it feels like that, I just take them on off. I mean, that's just me. I'm not telling you to do that, but if I feel like it's a weak point, I don't see the point of holding on to it. And then there's some where the actual knot is really a part of the lock. It feels as though if I was to bother it, I might mess with the integrity of the lock. And again, I only do that when when it feels sort of disconnected, and I can tell that any day or week is going to snap off anyway. But these are the ones with balls on the end. And you will probably get some of these as well if you have locks. And these tend to form, to me, sometimes the curly ends sort of tucked in on themselves and get caught. Now, if you hate these, once your hair is locked, you can snip them if your loctician approves, or you can just leave them alone and let them be in perfect peace. Now, I'm going to show you and end this video with a lock example that I find to be my favorite and why it is an example of what I hope most of my locks end up looking like in the end. And then we're going to end. And by the way, if you've not liked and subscribed, please do so. And when you get a moment's break, go back through my channel and look through the videos and see if there's some other videos, are there some other videos that will help you with information or get some other visuals and things along those lines. And we're back for that beloved lock or lock examples. I'm back. And why is there hair in my head? My face, excuse me. I found one that was even skinnier than the last one. I wanted to share it with you guys. Look how small this one is. And this is not my favorite. Now, I thought in the beginning of my journey, and by the beginning, no, pre-beginning, I would love the really tiny ones. But you know what? My favorite is solid. Solid as a rock. Why? I literally love the locks, guys, that have a little bit of girth, not too thick, not too thin, and they just feel like they have just integrity. As well as, to me, just being honest, the locks that just complied are my favorite. This is not the exact one, but it's similar to the one that was smooth. My smooth locks, not just because I have smooth, thin ones, that there's no problems. That wasn't one. But I have smooth, thin ones. My smooth, thicker ones without the bumps, without the balls, are my favorites. And I'm hoping that at the end of my journey, by the end, I mean when my locks have, I think that they call it when they're rooted, I think is the word they use, when you go beyond mature and your years end, I'm hoping that most look like this. But if not, I'm okay with my perfectly imperfect locks. If this is showing you nothing, you could have several locks that don't look the best, but still have an overall look that rocks. I will see you all next time. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit the notifications button. And as I always say, well, my eyes are watering. Have a good day.